Aston Villa win their first game in pre-season, beating St. Louis City 2-1 here at Energizer Park. It was a competitive game, I think, for the most part. A good run out for Villa, which is always the case with these pre-season games, and it's nice to play MLS teams because they offer something which European teams can't, and that's because they are already halfway through their season, of course, or 28 games in anyway. They're not the best side, St. Louis, technically not brilliant. Tactically, I think they gave, as good as they could, really. I mean, they didn't just absorb pressure. I was just talking to the manager there, David Critchley, who's only just come into the job, I think. But, Villa are levels above this team, and at one stage in the first half, it looked like they were going to potentially take the game away from St. Louis. They went 1-0 up for Ollie Watkins, 14th minute. Sorry, not Ollie Watkins, it was Morgan Rogers who scored the first goal. Ollie Watkins doubled Villa's lead shortly before the hour mark, and then 59th minute was St. Louis's goal, which I haven't seen too many replays. I saw one replay and it looked like Kamara was fouled. Certainly in the Premier League I think that would have been given. But we'll go back a little bit. After Rogers scored to make it 1-0, you got the feeling that Villa could score a couple more. There looked like there was big spaces between the St. Louis defence and Villa's the midfield and defence, allowing Villa to push into those spaces, and John McGinn for me was the best player in the first half. It suited him down to the ground, the ability to run forward, push with the ball, get Villa up the pitch. It was something that, mainly the reason why I gave him my it's pre-season, but my pre-season man of the match in this friendly. A little look around the stadium for you here. Really nice ground, actually. I think it was only built, a few years ago. But yeah, it held the atmosphere really nicely. So fair play. You don't see many MLS teams whose ground is purpose-built for football. I have to say soccer in that context, I suppose. Many of them are built for other things like American football. But yeah, back to the game. Villa, I think, were good value. Hi, can I get out here? I can't get out.
Oh, right there. Thank you.
Thanks. Cheers, mate. Emery named, pretty much a completely different team in the second half. It was only Emi Buendia that stayed on. It was 10 changes otherwise. Watkins obviously came on when he scored his goal. Matty Cash, by the way, really impressed by him tonight. Got up and down the pitch well. Was a really effective outlet on that right side, and of course provided the assist for Watkins' goal as well. So that's that will do him the world of good as well. I asked Emery actually after the match about Watkins now scoring twice in 2 games, and his response was more about the overall team, like we want to see goals from elsewhere on the pitch. Those quotes will be live on Birmingham Live at some stage on Thursday. Obviously Morgan Rogers as well, getting his second goal in as many friendlies too. So I think those are probably among the major benefits here. Look at the size of that. Boy. Oh my god. Can you see that? It's not actually that big at all. It scared me. I think, those are one of the positives from tonight. Firstly, minutes in the legs against a team who have minutes in the legs. And then secondly, Morgan Rogers and Watkins getting their goals again. So that's, a positive. Marlin getting his 3rd assist. And we can talk a little bit about Marlin because he played as the number 9 today. I'm not totally sold on him being that number 9 or I'd also replacement for Watkins in terms of when he's not available to play. Backup, I suppose, is a better word. I've kind of been of the opinion that I'm happy for him to be used as the backup until January, because then kind of keep your powder dry and go after a new forward if you need it. Then we obviously saw Watkins have fresh competition in Marcus Rashford at the start of February and onwards last season, and how much that pushed Watkins out of the team actually, but also added competition, and it was really useful because if you had a couple of injuries, then all of a sudden you can reshape things, and Villa are lacking depth, I think, in that area. And I'm not basing this just off one game, because I actually, again, if you ask me now, do Villa need to spend on a striker or bring even a free agent in? I mean, that's a different story because obviously the cost is so limited, but even that brings up your wage bill by doing so. Can Marlin play as that backup to Watkins and I don't know. I mean, I think, put it this way, I'm more sold that he's going to be more effective on the right for Villa. However, it's so early to say. We haven't seen too much of Marlin in a Villa shirt period because he didn't play a whole lot last season, did he? And I think his best moments did come from that right side, or at least as a kind of support act. His goals against Brighton, Southampton, Forest, by memory, all of them were not on the back post but in that area. So yeah, it's an interesting one, something that Villa will have to think about for sure. And this kind of game, I think, that's what you want to do. You want to experiment with these different things. But still, Marlin, 3 assists, another assist tonight. 3 assists in 2 games, sorry, not all tonight. Villa only scored twice. But 3rd assist in 2 games. So again, that's a positive, a confidence boost for him too. He doesn't seem to be lacking that much confidence though, Marlin. I remember Dortmund fans would always sort of comment on, well, he's a player who needs to be in the mood or be confident to play at his best, but actually I think he had every reason not to be confident last season because he wasn't playing, because he didn't get picked for the Champions League squad. But in fact, when he had played last season, he looked like he was trying to prove a point rather than sulk. So that's testament to his attitude for a start. So I've no doubts that Marlin will have a role to play next season. I don't want to call it a big role because what does that look like? Villa have got a number of top players who will do that. Marlin, if he plays his part, and I'm sure he will be therefore a fantastic signing at £20 million from the winter window. So that's another sort of talking point. I guess after a pre-season game, I think you're looking at mainly what are the tactics, what is the system, all these different things. What I would say though is if you look at someone like Lamar Bogard, you can talk about systems, shapes, tactics, but he seems to be adept at playing across multiple or several systems, and I just get the feeling that he could, again, similar to Marlin. Oh, there's a rabbit here. It's like a nature watch. Easily distracted, clearly I am. Bogard's versatility, I think that that's something that can be really important moving forward, especially into next season and beyond. We know that Emery likes to play in different ways and asks different players to perform or operate in different roles. Something that I think is Bogard's probably his biggest strength is that ability to play in different ways. And this is probably a few days too late to talk about it, but the game against Frankfurt, he played in, where did he start? I can't actually remember now, but I think he went centre back, right back, centre midfield, I think. So 3 different roles that we know he can play in. For me, I think his best football has actually been played in midfield. I remember the game against Arsenal in the second half, played really well after replacing Onana. In other matches as well, been impressed with him there. And yeah, his ability to do those different roles, perform those different functions, I think is a huge plus in the Villa squad. He might not be Villa's best player, but having that kind of a Swiss Army knife almost is really important for the team. So I'd like to think that he sticks around next season. Of course, he didn't play much in the back end of the last campaign. I remember he played against Palace, and that would have been a learning curve for him for sure, as it was for a few Villa players on that night. If memory serves correctly, I don't actually think he featured after that until the end of the season. So yeah, again, a big summer for him, and one that I think he's kind of taking well so far, so that's another positive. There was a few moments in pre-season, as always, you're going to get a few kind of hairy moments here and there. I think there was one when Ezri Konsa was caught in the box, led to a chance for St. Louis. Again, that could be a foul that is given in the Premier League. Again, didn't see any replays, but one that Konsa usually gets from referees in the Prem. And then also, as I said, Kamara, when he appeared to be clearly fouled when, or just before St. Louis scored. So again, moments where Villa, these things need to happen because you want players to be, proactive when the season starts rather than reactive after the ball has been kicked for kick-off in the Newcastle game. You want players to be ready and sharp, knowing that, I did this against Walsall, I did this against St. Louis, I did this against Roma, and I won't, so it's about getting that sharpness and making those little mistakes. If they are mistakes, then that only serves you well, so I'm more than happy to see that. For example, as well, when Leon Bailey, there was a moment where in the first half, drives forward, has a few different options, Buendia, Marlin and possibly Rogers as well, can't remember. and instead of passing, well, the pass was on, probably should have passed it, but instead he cuts inside and fires it wide, and he got a bit of a moan off his teammates. But I didn't mind that, because I think it's really important in pre-season you can build up your confidence, and for that reason it's okay. I think if that's a game that matters, a league game, a European match, whatever it may be, yeah, like every right those players to have a go at him, and maybe have every right to have a go at him in a pre-season game, because they want to get the goals as well to get their confidence up. But I don't mind seeing Bailey trying things. I think it's important that these players build their personality, I suppose, on the pitch. That's really important, and we're seeing that with players like Watkins and Rogers already. And for me, yeah, that's something why pre-season is so useful, especially when you have players that, yes, are featured in international competitions, books everywhere, that they have a strong pre-season, because we saw last summer, didn't we? Ollie Watkins didn't have that. He was injured, and did he feature at all in pre-season? I just can't quite remember. Or he definitely missed the Dortmund game, didn't he? And started the new season with a bit of an issue that was lingering from the Euros, and didn't start too well. Had fans on his back, then scored 16 goals in the league, as he tends to always do. And that's the same case. And that's the kind of story, I think, for pre-season sometimes, where you look at it and think, well, these lads have got another, how many games have we got to play now? Four games, but essentially 3, because they've got the split weekend next weekend against Marseille and Villarreal. There's a good opportunity for our players here now to build that confidence, get minutes, and hopefully stay fit. So yeah, not obviously the case for Garcia and Barkley, who will obviously be around the first team next season. Shame they're already injured or had a setback. Yeah, I think I'll round up my walk and talk for tonight. This will be out on YouTube after a vlog from my trip to St. Louis. Pretty brief stop here, especially as my hotel's over there. I did go into the downtown earlier, which is cool. Some different monuments and tall buildings. Nice. I'm back in Nashville tomorrow via Charlotte, Dean Smith's stomping ground, and yeah, I'll check in possibly on the Friday ahead of the game on Saturday, and then we're back in the UK on Monday, or I am anyway, on Monday, ahead of Roma at Walsall on where are we, next Wednesday. So yeah, it's all coming thick and fast now. Villa winning for the first time in pre-season. Not the results matter. Emery made that clear as well after full time, by the way. But it's a nice feeling, I guess, for the players. They can again take that confidence, and as I say, it's more about patterns of play and how do they feel in their own performances and in their own body as well. That's the crucial element here. Do they feel confident that they'll be ready for that Newcastle game? At the moment, you'd back Villa to be more ready than what Newcastle are, but that's a different story altogether. Yeah, we'll see how we go in the next few weeks, but yeah, that'll do for me in St. Louis.